Unlike those whose Ukraine war that is just less than 1 month has the power to decimate a resilient economy of our political party, the great NDC. And 10 represents the future of our party and the strength which we seek in our political party. Today, the conversation is around the economy. Unlike those who spoke on the economy 2 days ago without a team and without a topic, I intend to engage in an intellectual conversation around the economy to answer the critical questions whether COVID is to blame for the mess in our economy or COVID only took advantage of pre-existing conditions of our economy. But also to underline whether the Russia-Ukraine war that is just less than 1 month has the power to decimate a resilient economy in 1 month. I'm aware that a few years ago, we had an elitist scholar and visiting professor and lecturer who spoke on various themes that we could focus to determine whether he dealt with the subject matter for which he engaged the public. And I'm referring to my own big brother, His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia. At some point, he wanted to find out whether the economy was built on straw or a solid foundation. He said he wanted to find out the problems of the city and to indicate how we could restore the value of the city. Unfortunately, this time, he said he was speaking on the economy. What is the economy? What do we take away if somebody says, I'm speaking on the economy? How do we determine whether the conversation is aligned to a clear intellectual conversation? There must be a team that we can hold you to. You can't decide that you are talking about the economy, so you can pick on toilet, pick on KVIP, pick on anything that suits you. You must be focused in your conversation so we can hold you to a clear intellectual conversation. I am not surprised that today there is an effort to deny me my voice, the critical voice on the economy that puts the government on its toes anytime it needs to wake up from its slumber. But you need to understand that to win an election is a battle. And you cannot crumble at the least excuse when there is a resistance. We must continue to fight the oppressor. Our political tradition is very focused on building a stable democratic Ghana and not a militant dictatorial Ghana. Mr. Chairman, if His Excellency the Vice President believes that he did a good job at Kaswa Yesu Kro, how come he is afraid to hear my voice? How come? Mr. Chairman, the issue about the economy and where we are today is a major tragedy of significant proportions. We now have an economy that is in tatters. And yet, when you get an opportunity as the head of the economic management team, you tell us there is crisis, but you do an analysis that concludes that there is no crisis. On Thursday, I was struggling to now find out what the crises are. Because you said it is all right. The fundamentals are strong. And that we have done it before. So we should hope that you can do it. Mr. Chairman, President Kufuor is no longer the President of the Republic. You cannot rely on the record of your father, which you have so decimated, to continue to tell us that you have ever done it. You have failed this time, and you need to be booted out of government. Mr. Chairman, allow me to begin by commending my countrymen and women from all walks of life across the nooks and crannies of our dear republic. Your resilience in the face of turbulence, hope in the passing time of despair, and commitment to the spirit to always ensure that we use legitimate means to get the state and its apparatus to work for us, our children, and their interests, and not the selfish desires of a few people in privileged positions, are outstanding. Ours is a nation of abundance in human and natural resources, talent, and entrepreneurship. And the least we can do is to keep our heads up. Speak in honest and clear terms about our situation and regroup, strategize whenever possible on how to get the system work for Ghana, not a group of people who are very selfish. Mr. Chairman, I wish to take this opportunity to thank the organizers of this program for creating this opportunity and a platform for us to engage in intellectual, constructive conversation around our country and our destiny going forward. Yesterday, I listened to my big brother 2 days ago, and I was at a loss whether it was that my big brother that I was listening to. I saw a bawumia that was completely in a place that he was not comfortable with. I saw a bawumia that was completely out of its wits. In fact, I saw a bawumia that was a pale shadow of the bawumia that was torturing all the campuses to deliver lectures. But as I thought about it, I began to feel sorry and regretting certain things that I have done in the past regarding my big brother. I realize and I agree that I owe the people of Ghana an apology for quickly defining and christening him.
Adofo mamunyina akwaba eba Kennedy Ajopon Junior so medamunyina se monya bre na moye krado se moni yembe ye show we ene misle o hweme ewo Ras Media GH nso ewo YouTube wetumi akọ YouTube nso na ahwe Ras Media GH na why dey wa wetumi ahwe our friends and show no ewo sanso no betumi subscribe ewo YouTube nso na ama bibi akọ fefe adofo no hanso de o haya misrabo modern share video no se de be ya umia wadamfo ana obi bibia na sebio Ghana man fa na hono no so betumi anya video we any show ya ye ne nei ebi atie na wanya bi nso ahwe mesama mo akọ ababiem asema me the topic we say the boy-headed NDC does not understand nyansasem any fact checkup Dr. Maud Bawumia the Ghana political wizkid and the ababetu abontre because of their lack of what them call competence in Tino. So bika asema eto asuma they don't understand. When people bring fact to expose their lies and their propaganda that is going on everywhere in Ghana, no, what the fact in about, then they become shocked and they start talking trash. Echebiana Kakasa, Vice President Dr. Maud Bawumia, a nice presentation and analysis of Ghana economy, where it was and where we are going to. Dr. Maud Bawumia Chechimuna Odiba and say, Ghana, we are dealing with foreign investors. And due to some crisis, we are saying, some of the investors are taking their money away from Ghana because they don't feel secure due to the worldwide pandemic, any worldwide economic crisis. But they have put in some measurement ɛno no ɛbɛnam saa kwa no so ama Ghana man no asɛ mfa ne ntom afira te sɛ deɛ ɔmo baa 2016 mu a na sɛ na economy no siti a ɔmo ti mpagya mu ɛma economy no kɔ na Dr. Mawood Bawumia ma yɛn figures ɛma yɛn numbers ɛma yɛn fact ɛma yɛn international economic what they call indices actually say the worldwide is in crisis and Ghana is not exceptional. Bawumia Matias say while the whole world is suffering, Ghana for yen yet is a Burkina for yen yet is a Mali for yen yet is a Niger for or money outside business because it's all munshana any sika and answer or more financial any all that advance or munshana tied to relation with our brofono of in terms of a supply chain any business in for normal to the Niger, Burkina Faso and other countries this worldwide crisis did not actually hit them up much because omonya brofo no sheda ne big business omoya and obetunyama omo economy akofo. Bawumia explain everything which is even in some no church dem no nyina na yensem bia wonko school kura mpo da na unya to ba se tena se etie de na Bawumia kan nyina na utimu se adwene ene nyansa ene ntiase e wo de no kan na enam NDC for power comedy omo. I'm talking about political power hunger. Abeto NDC for something. Who can't say no correctly NDC niya? He will never and ever listen. NDC ni panini say bi oko school kakra. Say bi wapo degree. Say bi okita PhD. And they say what Bawumia came in to say on that platform that day, everything was fact check, everything was correct. Dr. Whatever His Excellency Dr. Mawood Bawumia Ebejina board so okay. How is it that our currency to dollar depreciation he explained to us why. Because the Ghanaian investors, the foreigners who has invested in Ghana due to the crisis that are going on, they are taking their money away from our banks and that caused this depreciation on our currency. Because we offer America investment to Ghana and we offer US, offer Britain, offer Germany, offer Holland, offer Belgium, offer Italy, waba beye business ewo Ghana no. And as only Ghana waba beto Ghana buy bonds so na ase for ni bi no. Se wo ho se wiase nyina mo aye de na se okwa sika na ode beko no oje ne wo dollars. Enti sika no mo a amanfo demand omodi cities na demand dollars no na cities no na ho ode no ekofo. Where no kure asem we Dr. Mawood Bawumia kan no e no kure and it is true e economic factor. It really have its effect on the currency. Sikasem si usika no se ba de se nipa do edge usika no de flu kom dia koba bi. Ama usika na ho de na wo international market no e man kofo. What he said was a fact. Dr. Bawumia talked about a lot of things, even about how we can make our economy stable, how we can make sure say every social intervention, you will see who they are supposed to be delivered. But Dr. Bawumia give all this. Only Bawumia came out to talk. His Excellency Dr. Mawood Bawumia came out, say, Obe can the Ghana economy is here. Dr. Mawood Bawumia kasa we na NDC for ato money at that bomb. We fabo ha na wato ne wo ha. We fabo ha na wato ne ha. Some amount for Kuraba Bontin Kromo Kasakura, they don't know what they are talking about. John Bekan said Dr. Bawumia didn't. But these the same people, Omubejina platform, so Michelle Medical video, Bichira Musenka. Just listen to what Dr. Dongo was talking about. Dr. Dongo Bejina platform, so since when he started up to when he finished, can't there be an year about economic statistics? Rare. You know, you know, it's a personal issue with Dr. Mawood Bawumia, because he was not having actual facts. He was not having the numbers. He was not having anything at all to use it against what Dr. Mawood Bawumia said. The Otimbeka Yana said, Dr. Mawood Bawumia am presenting a team only on a year, Juma, and say, we need to win a year, Juma, a year research in your Koko say. In the sense that Dr. Mawood Bawumia and say, team win on a year, Juma, whatever he said is a lie. How can a so-called professor of economics, Dr. Donko, how can you be so borehead like that? How can you be so illiterate? How can you be so educated, illiterate in this way? And I say, NDC, hungry power, no assign at the I want the NDC to come out and to give out other figures, and I say other factor, or Mujitum say, that is the reality of the Ghana economy. I want them to come out. Apart from saying, say, Dr. Mawood Bawumia didn't throw. Dr. Mawood Bawumia has mismanaged the economy. No? I want them to come out and tell Ghanaians, say, these are the red facts on the board, and this is what you were supposed to hear. Dr. Mawood Bawumia can't show. What is say, and this in the Biabejina platforms, no, I can say, no, you figure in here, Answer, Dr. Donko, no, you be money and no, even the debt to GDP, Kurano, they addicted the pillars to showcase something different from what the reality is. How can the main opposition party of a country be so reckless, be so unprepared, be so unknowledgeable, be so reckless even in being in opposition? How come? She said, and this if when I'm so only competent to do good things for Ghana, you know, anything that is something that deals with competence, you know, and this is for Bible Trump saying, you know, correct. And I say, into me, and this you don't have any policy, any social intervention be a person family, and this is the prime even quite of the first will be born minor, because say ye come more John Dramani Mahama be Ghana so ni wa mu or mine. John Dramani Mahama be Ghana man so or the economic management no or the share abrofunsam, because say Oba na de oho no otumi say no within 1 year na udi ahu bibia enye hwebi omo antumi enya adwene sokora po ahu kwa befa so betumi enya internal revenue and local revenues na nka mutumi ade akushi ntokuru na ewo yesika semu. And this if for kwatra bi say omo kwa akoye meeting ade afa adwene ahu kwa befa so omo so Ghana economy. They went there and they want to me and fat at the Fufrobia apart from say Yanko IMF. Now IMF 4% IMF for whom you are meeting. And after all these things, you know, you buying beer bar, some you can say the comparison any more and this if a pan will not or yen near Mahodo. Now what to the most you say, even though there will be some leakages in the system, but at least this government is performing absolutely well with all the policies, with all those kind of social interventions. Ghana ma enya so mfaso. And this is for you spend a lot of money, but at the end of the day, no, you catch a month for baby mention what actually you did that you talk about Kwame Nkrumah Circle, Terminal 3, Secretary House, Atubo Gas, what them call initiation, and I did a Kumasi hospital, market, Jamone, or Friday, the king of Asante, Namoye, Honto to see money. That is all. And one, no. National insurance, Mubeguno. School feeding program, Mubeguno. Everything that the government, the previous government, the bar system, when this is from Mubeguno. Because he said, Munim Kwaya, your first way to Sikasem. Munim Kwaya, your first way, any amount for your business or abonting. Munim Kwaya, more first way, move to Myanmar internal revenues are back, Sikabe free or minor move. Munim Kwaya, also go to your first way, Sika or mine one. Namodia Yamoniama. Put the Munima and say, Ada say, Yam Kobosia, and ask Yam for your and Concoshe. I am a Fufonsa. And he said, problem about or mine Sika to Yam. Now, Obi wa dwene de onim kwa befa so betuma ma o man na poja ne nan apoja ne ho gira ne nan so a enam se mo wan di si mo ne that mentality mo ne sa adwene wo mutimunti no. You don't accept that and you don't believe that. Lo mo hu say it is impossible. Impossible is a word. As some I can say impossible no. Limited brain and they can say impossible because everything is impossible. Everything is possible. And it will be attack as impossible for Biano. Can we say that person is a limited brain? And the end is for them so they cannot go far beyond. And I say you call IMF. And I say, apart from that, anything positive for the Ghana economy to them is impossible. Look at how illiterate and how propaganda machinery they are to the fact said bawumia said the economy is connected with digitalization and this is for say the NDC is saying say digitalization is not part of the economy. To the NDC, when you talk about the economy and one Kumasi market when you talk about the economy and one say banche boy say when you talk about the economy the woman say the economy boy say mako boy say but when we talk about the basic nyama from emma the economy boy do say and I say the economy boy no say and the entire nyama boy timi cost no and this if you don't want to know about it it a ban business and was so mon trans no mon fa no mon kwanya o mon be fa so a on betumi as ama issue na solve wa no mo poja wo no mo de mo akakoma IMF for a banis happen what the NDC can do first and so be cause broni so ni bia na otumi anante the NDC enam person nkumunya ene kuro boke sienti no almost say MPP ya de papa kuro mpona they will still come out to say I am throw and say it's possible. Why should it always be impossible? I didn't tell you nipa da say ya TV asim da bia wo say impossible. It tells you say you have a limited mentality. You cannot think beyond the wahuni dada. Untime nyen track the wahuni dada. You say the wahuni dada na mu na wo. Say yes sir, it can how possible pass say Nyamahoto Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia edi abefu fidie eye no Ghana man mu ne adem party and this for mo appreciate this commandments a man we anya no Ghana man mu apart from being vice president no we're taking that position of head of the economic management team or the yempuntu juma hodo Ghana. Montana said the NDC does not understand Bawumia. You know why they don't understand him? Because the NDC team itself, they are all local players. The economic management team, NDC, they are local players. School university of Ghana. Now they can also be a distance course. School do come here so could draw a baby in the past. Say school no be no mo ko be no mo dey wie no mo dey tro. What they know is young fat time but they don't know what it takes to build the economy. And yes, sir, and this for better bawumia said the electronic part of what they call the electronic management or no yen or mine no very important and essential so titro emagana sikasem. But so we have this bald-headed NDC for Mbeka Chone say Dr. Bawumia said the waba die bawumia lies because among tiasie among cleaning who said the national identification card mobile money what them call interoperation be and all these forms of identification of every single Ghanaian and this is what tiasie said kwan a yɛfa so a yɛde bu ɔman ɛma ɔman no emu sikasɛm egyina ne nan so adɔfo mi sɛ aba na wahyɛ video no ɛm sɛ hyɛ no wɔ fam wɔn ani hyɛ video na video no nkɔ baali ana nkɔduru baabi a wɔhyɛ nkɔ because this NDC for there ɔsɛ ɔmo nti ɔmo ho ase sɛ Ghana for yɛn naayɛ koraa yɛn naayɛ we are here and we will continue being here to say the truth to everyone. Yeah, I'm saying only one share and I won there. But I'm saying, wow, we be a share. So, and you know, and this is for your impossibility of everything. I did be a Ghana by an show by you know, and this is what I can say impossible because they cannot think beyond their own level before. They cannot think beyond that. How can you try to build the economy? Opese uma omanu musika sem ina na nan so. Usi minim nipa dodo omo omanu. Usi minim se kwadwo te ha, afia te ha, ya te ha. Kwasi ete bepo no so. Usi wunim se ehai ye frɛ ha sei. Saka akwan ye frɛ ni sei. Fi wei esi ka akwan wei so number sei. Unim bibia also person build the economy. Ubeye den na wa build the economy. Ghana man eda ho te se uram. Ye ni dini. Ka akwa ni dini. Yen kan se plaza anase piazza anase yen kan se ye gardens eni ho. Ka akwa na eda ho no bia ni dini. But the amount for sisi or move fear, there is no address. No, as we see the fear, see what the cemetery, a Sunday being is here, or no kind Pentecost for us on dino. I want to here. Okay, what about me? Also, you have to see. What about ban also? What about bank also? You have to see. And out here, we see, Metri, a diner. A word to the honor. Ose no wadana esi achi the honor. The pay and some go to her a bay we say honor metie. Na ubaye day na what to me aye niema papa ewo man say even common identification Quran ye need you or man no more. How can you or how do you want to develop the country? Abra omana yetino obi any address obi yawo no any identity obi yawo no nam kruno mu just like that. How can you ye beye den na ye hu se nipa simasi ewo sika sei ye beye na hu se nipa simasi ni fie nie nipa simasi o cash miansa nipa simasi o haru pribako nipa simasi ne bank account e wo Ghana eye enan nipa simasi. How can we identify these people? Most of the time we see was all the tax about on chiche mesikafo tua mo na hiafo tua mo kwan ben so na government no be fa so ahu say this person is richer than this one. Say we don't have one identification. Na say obi aba na he want to put the economy person for economy ni ngina na nan so ntino wa sha ase free form. Say there be obey ntotoye ni yie na say economy ni purchasing the national need na national wonte ase a anam sɛ munsua nwoma nkɔ akyiri na sɛ munsua economics nkɔ akyiri na sɛ munsua governance nkɔ akyiri ntino wote hɔ sɛ woyɛ opposition party ntino the bawumia ka no ɛyɛ lie. How can it be lie? Say the electronic system or the bagana mamuno eye adibi ehunya se betumi agina ya nan so. How can you say it's lie? Na say and this for the mo de makola dwadie no eno ana ka mutim. Sabra na roden se baya na amamfo nko school na adwene no so eno ana ka mutim. The NDC is not capable of thinking beyond the wahuni dada. Yeah, woman chair, I'm for Accra. Sister Betty Biden, which I'll promote to say. Nana Banyin Kobina Esando, so Michao, Ajima Kwabna Boatin Michao, Kretus, a year Michao, Joe Champion Michao, Eric Joe Kwa, and also Michao, Munina, and the former Monshie video and a video on cover there. The sound so YouTube so. Ras Media GH. Also, called Timko Heavy, with Timko Head, show no what direct. Sister Betty, I'm a Quabaha. This is about mother ship you don't invite. I'm on for my mom. As I was saying, how can a government develop an economy, stable economy, abra yenim se, nipasima city ha, or female and son, or daddy and nine? Owalu pribako factory way na de company way na de say ye ni bibibi e kire say nipa simasi or your no kwa nipa simasi is certificated, is authenticated. Kwamba nso na oman no betumi agina so e de ahyehye mmara amata situa no korampo no yetumi ehu de oso ntua kese ene de oso ntua kakra. How can we do that? We can do that only if we have this kind of authentic identification. And His Excellency, Dr. Bawumia, and the public, what they call the public sector, Mr. Kusibu Afo, Omwa Ka Omuna Yesisua, Omo Yeni Gidi. Said the Baya woo here, no, Yebehuso ye me. Nasikani, no, so you sikani. Na tax na monetary and more. Property tax near Masikani na wu hiani na ufie kwa yani atacha tutu guwa ufi ya bontre bana nso atwa tiso tutu nsu no abane tiye skani bia firi esikafo no ho na oda ba ya ka akwanya ma se de be ya wu hiani no enam se ya ma identification ni so ye hiani no uko drugstore na uko akoto dru a adru no bo no be ye lower than the sikani beto no. And they said, "Dear Bawumia Bekan, heavy for you NDC because I'm talking about the NDC leaders. I'm saying about marginal and you're capable of getting to what the Bawumia Bekan or platform. I'm saying you find it difficult to elaborate your mentality to get to where Bawumia want to lead Ghana to. I am what the mama. And this is for no marginal moon to me when I am could do by the Bawumia person for Ghana Manco. Among Tiasia say, you possible say, ye be to me, identify Ghana for you. Now, you more be authentic coder, edda data ma, but you could be the case of a ID card, that ID card will show whoever you are, but be a what will be out try. One to say, even when you're going to rent a house, we are trying to do contract now. Say, another system, about hand and also in your contract, they are buying. Why are they doing all these things? And this is one test because of what no good and much. The NDC leadership from jungle life, 1% Ghana for the NDC 1% Ghana for we always have to remain with this kind of jungle mentality. Now, I can take advantage of Ghanaians. Now, come de bano yeska. Somate, Mubabe now, what can I say? Babe no. Yes, so I got to new house. Ewa manone. Amunko bisa said, yeah, then I got to yeska. So I say, why do 1 billion? Why do 1 million? So the Koichu, son of the Koto property. What turn to Dubai? No better more. Because NDC for now, they want Ghanaians to remain in the jungle life system, whereby your opinion identity, opinion babiotie, you name say where you wine. Now when you Nkrofobinum, most of Motia Bruche, some are catching me, they know it may be more than me. But enam kakra mo bedi no mo furo mo passion in mantino and this for to catch up so major platform so nka say whatever the MPP government is doing is wrong. No so be jina say you're wrong. Abra mo so munum say Italy ha, Germany ha, Holland, America, UK, everywhere that you go oknaman kura identity. Abua your friend oknaman e identity wa brochi. Now Ghana new to Ghana only identity near Ghana and what is our that's so be a panel who said no. I was saying me implement something like that. Say, yeah, we have to identify you and say, yeah, we find e-pregnancy. And this is for no point Jima, no question to the insulting bawumia say, bawumia asking the e-pregnancy about no crano a fraud. You see what is the problem with the NDC? The problem with the NDC is that they cannot think up to where the new leadership of Ghana is taking Ghana to. They cannot accept that because they are not capable of doing it. Because to me be santino. They are no the nipa foforo na ye no eye omo time essence ye omo ahi it no metumi aka say enye nokore enye possible. How can the main opposition party what the Ghana so am fear do no enso want to me anye identification for Ghanaians bra NBC atamel cinema ha ma be di akonya 2009 no na Kufuor aye all the requirement, all the recruitment, all the necessary research. Na Kufuor ye nyina ready. Say nkai say Ghana aban MP abonten. Na onye massive identification of Ghanaian citizens. MERS ebetra so wanya ho hwe. Kwesi be share dey bae. Ono dey kura po dey bobo. But when this administration came, Ogun said to make this country great, first of all, we must to have a database ever capture all citizens. And it's only through this way and we able to make economy say all the citizens will have a piece of benefit from the Ghana economy. Masha say kekasa adentia MPP aye free education for everybody. Let me tell you, where another problem. It's because we don't have authentic review of worth of every Ghanaian. Because you need to be a Ghana need be a sikadu or you be ba our be can't and then on fatu team. Senka your system or why it moves away 1 billion or a field so and there will be a different system for free education. But Enamo said, the government took it, said it is better to give it free to everybody. Said just because you want to go for free education. But this is difficult. We are not a drama among 4 more drink quachri, and I say, Obi Washington say, Obi Jimmy Pabone. We decided this year by and this is for what they want to do. They say, Omo person money ni pabro. It is at the Pakure Kosono, Mercantil say, I didn't Kosono, and Yadi or say, Ghana for money in nature because a Yadepa. But we are doing a team of economic management, so I am happy for the NDC. I mean, more video in show. But we never catch the Ghana for say. After the pandemic, now Ghana economy was taking what them call na Ghana economy na esna fa ntoma pafra ena Ukraine and Russia for Montokoi and the boom. To Quanabo Mono, Ama Sikasem Nasayan form. But they have taken in measurement, able to me, Ama Ghana Mai, Apajan and Tuma Pafra. Listen to what the NDC said. NDC for said, bawumia take advantage of COVID. Bawumia take advantage of Ukraine-Russia war. Hey. Not standing point by catch also no your politician or bit me do man. So how can you accept such person? Obi anonymous Ghana for Nadia Yadia Juma or Ghana. Ayo, ye can't read, make a fra and ask for oil. We buy them, you're turning in a no a Cassia, you're turning in for Ukraine or Russia. These are credit part to be free. Na se economy ete sana nyantokwa na ntokwa asi wo a untumi nwene nko animu hu se ebetu amanshinsanso aba oman na yefe ne Ghana one sa oman ni didwa obi a wo se politician obi a wo se wo ye economist ma opposition party Dr. Donko no betu amejina aka se onti ase die nti a Russian and Ukraine war any COVID ebetu mi ama Ghana economy akofom se na bawumia se Ghana economy in the next year. So we actually credit say the NDC is a political party of no plan. They don't have idea. They don't know what they are doing. The whole world, we are similar. Even the big economy is America. Unim sikadodo omo ahwere because of COVID and this Russia war. UK unim sikadodo omo ahwere because of this pandemic and this Ukraine war. Germany, Italy, and Italy for one in Africa, Tunisia, omo kweso betumi Tunisia for your agreement omo nya gas na because the gas na e ba ha na ne boy na dodo. This time, gas no more about 54% of increment. So now they are in different places to find another way. The whole world is under pressure. Now, and this is what we be now fat Mike. Age now can say His Excellency na the Danko Kufuor ne squad and no money a jumano or more ye. How can you come out and say such a word? Abra William said, what is going on is this. As a witch say, and this, you know, nipa bonnet form painfobia no mudi party na nim. Because Oko UK, Oba Italy, Oko Holland, Oko America, and Asifua, both the ruling party, any opposition, you know, Sabre will more finding out a solution to come out from. Now, and this moment, devil, Ghana, and the Monyam, a friend in some said the bay or Mokra sometimes to make a sasso. Last time, my brother, from GD or more Ghana, members of person may business, to make a samasote. Because of Mon Cass and Pam for my home, or Mon Town or Mon Mine work, and Papa so man, I'm an only four. This is because they are hungry for power. Much care. Il tuo preso che era la presidente.
Ma faccio tempo che vedi che le chiavi ci devono disturbare. Sto scherzando, sa? E va battuta lui. Perché ho pensato che fosse la presidente.
Sto in diretta, eh?
Vai, ciao, si gira.
E intino dinamica sanity e political party we party dey o say e benya nka ye show mu nyina. Nta asem na America na asem bi ano edene. But ena ma dwemone e wo mu ti. Ene kwanye omo fa so omo ye omo niema. Ene kwanye omo fa so mu tu futuro ankasa gu Ghana for mani so de be ya. Omo beba pa wanti no. Ene na ma me kansa, but I don't really intend it. But me say Ghana for ye be boy homo odene. Yeah. Asom ye ho asoso ye mu ye ahu niema pa aban we ye no Ghana man.
the Wale Adam Smith. Listening to him just a few days ago, I now understood why he has descended from becoming a scholar and an elite visiting scholar at universities, particularly Central University, to become a village teacher in Kaswa, particularly Yesukro. But I realized that the venue was not talking by coincidence. My big brother is beginning to lose his political heritage, and it is happening so fast. And of course, he needed Yesukro, where probably Jesus would appear and save him from a dwindling political career. Today, I intend to look at a number of things that he said, but also to situate our conversation around critical data. My conversation here is going to be data-based, and to borrow from my brother, if you disagree, bring your data. But my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I want credible data, not data cooked in the office of the finance ministry or the vice president's office. Credible data. I am relying on credible data that can be sourced directly from the IMF Regional Outlook database. That is my source. I'm relying on data that you can find with the World Bank. I am relying on data that you can find with Bloomberg and rating agencies. I am not relying on cooked data at the Ministry of Finance or cooked data that is produced in the office of the Vice President. I make this statement with all the importance that are attached to it because only a few days ago and yesterday, the pseudo-professors of the MPP who shouted in the era of John Dramani Mahama for appointments are now emerging from the boards and the monetary policy committees of the Bank of Ghana where their butter is bred to claim that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's data is credible and verifiable because I pointed it out to him on Metro TV that he cooked the data and it doesn't exist in the records of reputable international bodies. So when you have found your job, stay there. If you want to be a professor, ask Bawumia to tell us his source of data. He kept saying the data shows. The data shows. Which data? From where? I would like to make a very important point, and here I will be referring to figure 1, which is shown on the board. His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, when he was attempting to answer the question, what he has used the over 300 billion, and by the way, at the end of March, Ghana's public debt now stands at 400 billion. So people want to know what you have used over 280 billion for. Then you go and list projects without figures. Ladies and gentlemen, when you sign a loan agreement, it doesn't metamorphose to become part of the public debt. It is when you have drawn down and collected a portion or all of the loan that will put the portion that you have received into the loan. We call it drawdowns. So, Bawumia, you can't just put out contracts you have signed for loans even when you have not collected them. We want the ones that you have collected. Tell us where you have spent it. There is a correlation between economic growth and capital expenditure. And the reason why there is a relationship is because, just like your home, as your people, your family is growing, you need to build more rooms. Is that not it? As your family is growing, you need to provide for transport to take them to school. As your family is growing, you need to provide for the security of your people and shelter. And so when the economy is expanding, we want you to invest an equivalent amount of money that is required to renew the economy. There is urbanization that needs to be catered for. There are peri-urban communities that are struggling for water and good roads. So there is a clear relationship. So if you are really spending a lot of money on capital expenditure, you don't list them. You show us the capital expenditure to GDP. And you can see over there, you see that slope. That's Bawumia descending. You've seen where we took capital expenditure to. That That is a government that is focused on infrastructure development. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and late Professor Mills did a very yeoman job in renewing and eliminating our infrastructure deficit to a very large extent. This government just continues to spend the money on consumption. So the first sign is that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if we were really spending a lot of that money on capital expenditure, it should be reflected here. Are you seeing it? Where is the money? Mr. Chairman, you can see it from the second table again that clearly there is a problem with our capital expenditure. And he made 3 fallacies on capital expenditure, and I want to expose him today. He made a point. He made a point that because they spent a lot of the money on capital expenditure, that is why he has that list that he showed to us. In fact, he said the MPP government is the government that has invested most, including the fact that they have built more factories than all presidents put together, including our own veritable president Nkrumah. President Nkrumah didn't go around painting existing pictures of factories that are older than Bawumia. How can you say that it is one district, one factory? And out of 16 districts, you go to
Samoti Dr. Adonko Samano Kekan. He said everything, but he didn't show anything. The all you know is challenge. It's like or challenge Bawumia. But opesa un challenge obia nipa na ba beka na asem we be showcase the opesa onka. So asem fufuru bi ka different from the Okana. You should some for fat marabont and on for much say. I same way I can and to say, I same way I can wait to say. Now, but you know, I can say, data now, Dr. Bawumia, at the buyer, a data be more office or more cuckoo. Now, at the end of the day, no woman will offer data be a cuckoo about the comment that there to GDP. You say, no, Nianca Samashako download, do no, word monetary fund and as a finishing. Like as a machine code download do a mahumbi pay. But omo buyer represented different one from the original. And okurapono omo show they did not show it well. They did not show it well because one person won't deceive you a man for. Asempa titro bi pana man we can in first 10 minutes or kasani inano. It was about him and Dr. Bawumia. And then obi adwene no wo akiri na wo de ne mu na we so na time obi wo kwan ofa so ne niam na wonim saa ntete no anase wonim saa nyansa no wonne saa adwene na wo so betum dia ye niam bi a eduru saa we ene otan ne de wan fa. By the way, NDC for say Ghana nko na ho kire wo but pese me mo video we enkyere mo na muntie de IMF ankasa eka ekyere wiase nyina pese me mo video we enkyere mo na munyina muntie na obia ntie de omo yo ehaye pese obia ntie bi na yentie de IMF for na NDC for say yenko omo ho no de omo mom eyeden eka na yemfa bi ntu etim.
The war in Ukraine has caused immeasurable human suffering. It has also created
video where me free yanka say area drill the page so and I'm a buyer into the credit na mano. But Ghana for mo twi me ne mo amohwe mesere mo mo na muntie asema IMF for no ka na nkyere mo say enye Ghana nkwa na ahokyere aba ahokyere no wo ba bia ahokyere no ɛwɔ baabia. Listen to what the IMF is saying to the world, to the world, not to Ghana only.
Shockwaves and the global financial system. The war in Ukraine has caused immeasurable human suffering. It has also created all sorts of economic shockwaves, and the global financial system is not immune to them. Let's take a closer look at why. The war came at a time when the world was recovering from the pandemic, adding to inflation and supply chain issues and weakening the economic outlook. Russia and Ukraine are both major commodity producers. Between the war and sanctions on Russia, commodity prices have surged. And these rising prices are further fueling already high inflation. That puts central banks in a difficult position. They need to contain inflation without causing a recession. Central banks have already taken decisive actions and raised interest rates. And more hikes are expected in the coming months to bring inflation down to target. So what has this all meant for global markets? Global stock markets saw sharp declines in February and early March, adding to the drops earlier this year as investor appetite for risk assets has declined. Russian stocks had lost over 40% from early February and early March because of fears about the war. Even after a partial recent recovery, they're still down over 20%. Global equity markets had dropped up to 10% at their worst point. However, they have recovered recently as business fundamentals remain strong in many parts of the world and hopes for peace persist. In advanced Europe, the stock markets initially saw deeper declines but have recovered recently. More globally, emerging markets are in a difficult situation, facing higher financial costs and greater risk of investors moving capital out. Many emerging market countries with low credit ratings have delayed new borrowing. Firms, especially small businesses, are struggling with supply shortages, higher energy prices, and rising labor costs. Without direct and targeted government support, firms could face bankruptcies and credit losses at banks would follow. When it comes to the banking sector, the impact of the war remains manageable. Except for some European institutions, most banks and funds do not have large investments in Russia, at least relative to their overall size. However, given how interconnected the financial system has become, they might be impacted in indirect ways. For example, commodity traders that have borrowed a lot from banks could face large potential losses from rapidly moving commodity prices. And there is still a risk of a big market sell-off if the war were to escalate. Overall, the global financial system has so far been able to withstand the impact of the war, in part thanks to stronger bank regulation and buffers built up after the global financial crisis.
Intinadofo said an American video ya ehwe deɛ bɛn na kyerɛ sɛ Ghanafoɔ nko ara na yɛwɔ program. Nipa wei ɛyɛ obi a ɔkasa firi IMF ɔmo center hɔ ɛna ɔmo wɔ. Ɔno na ɛkasa yi. Ɔno kyerɛ sɛ the whole world no ɛna ɛha wei aba because of COVID. Ɛma chain supply chain yɛka supply chain yɛkyerɛ amanfoɔ ɔmo de nneɛma efiri baabi ɛkɔ baabi ɔman bi so ba ɔman bi so. Ghanafoɔ nneɛma ahodoɔ dodoɔ sɛn ɛna yɛmfa mfiri abɔnten na yɛde ba Ghana man. Kakra bi bayerɛ ne bankye ɛne nkontommire nkuruma ɛne makonom ɛna yɛ nneɛma bi yɛmfa mfiri abɔnten na ɛmfa ma Ghana anaasɛ yɛmfa mfiri abɔnten ɛmma Ghana ma mɛtɔn. Nneɛma aka ne nyinaa yɛ nneɛma yɛ ɛsoa ne nyinaa firi aburokyire de ba. Nti imagine sɛ ba ne sɛ for good 2 months shape ma Ghana sɛ ɔde nneɛma ɛba deɛ ne bɛsi Ghana economy. Mesa asɛm na mpɛ sɛ memisa na nka NDC for no mmra na mo medima no sɛ ba ne sɛ the chain supply no ɛbrɔko sɛ ɔmo mma nneɛma ma Ghana man no mu bie mu a and yes, if you're more pay, number nam ntokwa any pandemic eba amamfo nya juma de be ne besi automatically Ghana economy no ebe ko from because there's lack of supply. The etosu mienu yemfa ne se container kora bo be yedren enam se sebio na no ade wo si ye ne yehu se sana abusuamfo mienu pe ene wo wiase a omo provide container edema omo ye shipping. It is abusuamfo mienu no omo je omo tum se omo container na omo ba betu because demand no aye bebra. Would you say consequences pen and the to Ghana for ton yema ewo Ghana? Now utuminya NDC ni papa panyin also economic management team head. No babeji no twa dapa or can some amfaso ni nyansa bia nim just because to say bawumia kasa na NDC agu into the asoma na so mra no mra mekasa. And I'm say brebia bawumia be na no na the fact everybody beto abonten se Ghana free mo nhwe sei na niema na tie no and I'm saying this for nim say omo ne asamaka na mo be gina bonten amount no mo kantino they push him so mra bonten no mra meka dey open tie ben pa na adongo be gina platform no so tumi ka kire Ghana fo ana so ani nothing apart from propaganda and hatred expression. Obi a wabejina osoba be kasa fa Ghana ho. Obi a waba trust wabejina platform so aso waba kasa fa Ghana ho. The first 6 minutes of your speech, it was only about NDC and their supporters. Also waba kasa fa Ghana ho, but your first 6 minutes of speech, you want to and Ghana din, but you were always mentioning NDC for solidarity among the NDC members, NDC leaders, and NDC group. Look at how bogus the NDC as a group of leaders are. Bawumia bekan se bebrebe we na mo ankasa so muni modi omana so pen. You know how Ghana economy is really basing on the foreign suppliers and the foreign economy, but enam pesemin kuminya ene sikafunu dienti anditi for power mo abodam ti mo pebia no mo keka rejumadina aban we ye even though there is COVID and there is Ukraine war. Look at how many jobs and aban we am doing inside Shema Egusu or Moyen or Ghana. Even though there is crisis, still the works are going on. Women can't say MPP a perfect political party, but brother, if me choose between MPP and NDC, I will never and ever choose NDC because Omone ne Tutuye, Papa and Magana mine. Sama Mr. Dongo can be actually will say Omunim economies and especially Omunim international economy policies. Say Obi also ye head of a political party over so maybe or might be so. Now say international war into member insurance so bonnie Emma or might be sikanto to ye hoa. Oh, no catch up directly say, Sani Pano so over per minus wedding or nim quanya ye faswa ye be a boor mine. Because Opipia or 1 young sacket to be war a mambo hono, a bit of our country say COVID, any Russia front of Kwana Abano, how Amaya Hudo Bebe, especially Amaya or money Russia and Ukraine, it is our sword. And a COVID and also especially Amaya or money abrofo, they can Italy, Germany, London, that is UK, Holland, Belgium, America. Or might be on this South man we are holding the war in Kitaso, DA Anasika Sem and to Yahuasim, or money of war relation, economical relation, and even political relation. Sansem you see or man will see what we are saying within the shortest period of time. So born can see Emma or my corona on the side of my body piano or more be. Now will be also the head of an economic management team of the potential what they call opposition party of a country. Utumbe Trao can be said. The MPP is taking advantage of COVID. MPP is taking advantage of Ukraine-Russia war. How dare you? How can you call yourself as an economist? For you to know, the NDC and their Dongo men, America for I discovered $3 trillion. Now what to me at your pajo my anaconani. UK for a Trebiagum. I'm Italy for a Trebiagum. Germany for or more Trebiagum. All the European countries no or more pushy or more economy no or more sika and a shame. On a more pushing. Now, Miss, I was telling Ghana, dear, in Trebiagum. Ghana won't Trebiagum because you are under something called International Monetary Fund. In Ghana for, and people say Africa for, yen central bank, we decided for ourselves. You know, we always have to. I was saying, Biano, yen moyeti ase, Emma Abrofron Dombeka. In this area, yes, about me, 4.something billion, the economy now. We are in this and now can because even the America for no mubolo or resources no won't find your money here. Into your Kojisicana, the resources appear. That's all Kojisicana, the old year and the yard be here. But I'm saying, and this or yet power hungry, you know. Sanima, we are making a many politician, and I know this fact. And this for Munim Sanima, we are now, but they are not ready to tell Ghanaians the truth. I'm person for your mother say MPP is not doing anything. Whilst MPP is really doing a lot. Let's talk about the free SHS. Let's talk about school feeding program, health insurance. Let's talk about 1D, 1F. When Yamahodo and Nipa with but even the commitment say person yes I do we know say Emma Kronya Unya Arishamu said the person is there to help you because he have the commitment to do something. Then now when this for the money who office is to do Ghana. You don't allow these policies to proceed in a better way. More massage way no and kwaya was sent can fason koso. Just because your opposition party, best say a binary record. But God is the only person that can decide for someone. So that is it. The NDC is lack of competence. They are incompetent. Bawumia can't catch up, so we are incompetent. I'm incompetent, and you're the side to the level say. Because the word incompetent, no, NDC for jubilate because then you are more performance, and then you are more quality, and then you are more shepherd. I was saying for mama incompetent. And you know, the word incompetent, no, Kurana Samba by your mother. Master Abba Mudi, your money, your mafa, and Sansokra, you should have the same word. And tokwa we ye koso obi bia itemi kura na ho enemi shop 1 liter of sunflower at the €2.99 peso, almost €3. Now utumi krema beke say a Russia war there o kese na cause problem in your economy ayentro. How dare you? How can you be this kind of Mr. Adongo? How can you come out? I didn't tell you any message. I do fair. When me say Mr. Dongo man say me sinti on fair. So bit me dey make so the economics ono no nim say so man bi no man bi ko. Na say how man supply wa. E ma wo sika sem ko fom. How dare you? How can you come out and say such thing? Huh? How can this NDC, as a position, the major opposition party in the country, and is so completely foolish, limited mentality? There's no more one on one. Mobility says she don't get here. No, so I'm for also for money and ahye ne tirim yɛnkum amanfo yɛnkyekye amanfo yɛnkidnapo amanfo na ɔmomfa mmra power onipa bi te asie ɔfrɛ ne Sami Gyamfi tumi tena sɛ dwene kɔ a wɔbɛfa so obɛdi ntoro no ɔbɛtena sɛ wadi ntoro no te sɛ deɛ ɛyɛ asɛm nɔkora bi na ɔka ɛnso na wahyɛ atena sɛ na wapena ne sɛ NDC ni ba bɛdi ntoro akyerɛ na ɔbɔ sika di kyerɛ because nim sɛ ɔbɔ sika di kyerɛ wa you will not reason wɔn nwene nkɔdotie the consequences ɛdi akyi because Akufo-Addo nko ara na ɛyɛ president a ɔbɛdi Ghana man so a ɔwɔ 16 region a ɔyɛ ho adwuma Akufo-Addo nko ara na bɛdi ɔman so a ɔwɔ nkora ahodoɔ mu wɔ school ma ɔhwɛ ɔmo wɔ school Akufo-Addo nko ara na bɛdi Ghana man a wafa si ne bo sɛ kaa kwan ahodoɔ ɛwɔ Ghana ne bebree naa no ɔbɛyɛ ho adwuma Akufo-Addo nko ara na yɛ obi afa si ne ho sɛ ɔbɛboa ankora ma ɔmo abiebie nnwuma na Ghanafoɔ ma yɛ adwuma yɛ Akufo-Addo nko ara na timi afa Ghana youth after secondary school for 5 good years a wɔatwi ɔmo ka every month bi 7 million Akufo-Addo nko ara na timi na yɛ possible say every region no every district will have his hospital ɛnyɛ sika na ɛde sɛ nnwuma wɔ nyina we use money to do all this. These monies are huge sums of money. And sika bebree na yes anymore when you but ubenye obi oba ya na odi Ghana man so na chọ kokora de betwe wo school no na ebi ni ho but ono betumi aba be ka kiro say aban bi a wabo no o ma amanfo nuane di auto school books ma amanfo auto school atade ene ofane say jogging ma nkora yɛtotɔ table yɛsi school dan ahodoɔ a MPP mfa nhyɛ ne achievement mu koraa no ɔno ba bɛka kyerɛ sɛ ɔno mmom na ɔbaa na ɔde ɔntumi akyɛ ɔkoma no ɛne nipa ɔyɛ nneɛma ahodoɔ wɔ nyinaa no ɔno mmom na ɛyɛ better. How can economy be a better economy if you were in IMF for 4 years? How can economy be a better? Who economy na better than ye papa asset wa una who economy I am so called IMF. We see the online economy no all managing by itself no. We see no economy ni better than the person. How can it be possible? When this is sorry. When this was taken for guarantee. NDC taking his supporters for guarantee. I'm sure you don't make somebody who to NDC. You don't make us say me mammy you NDC. But you don't make us say me chama full man to NDC to the NDC number to Obama. I say yes, because the NDC should be ashamed of itself as a political party. I went to Ghana, my so and fear Malcolm do so. I want to give a common and simple identification. I'm Ghana for. It's a shame. Peka kwanya hodo na Danko Akufo-Addo eye. And so NDC for better so omo ye ghost growth. Ye can ghost growth a nsamanfo kwan eni asase so. No mo twesika, no mo agi adi. No mo atwe so mo ye ka akon be kwa na ka kwan ni ho. NDC for better konya so na wiase na ho kire ni ba bia no. Omo ntumi amfa ntoto bi kura masese bi Ghana ni akora anase Ghana awofo omo ho behin han omo e wo school krom mahama se obeboa awofo omo de omo mark school omo oso betu obema obi 38 Ghana cedi enokora no wantua. How can this person come back and say obekire no ho obeton no ho amabo say ono wo na ye the best person in Ghana so betu LED Ghana to where to the dish. Ghana for mommy and now na NDC no me say omo mentality no enye up to the leadership omo Ghana man so and now omo di Ghana man so. Kwanya Dr. Bawumia afa so eden to ye ba Ghana man mu asesi ameka say ufi a woti eye digitalized ufi a woti e wo address ufi a woti no e wo number. Ghana for more to Sadia Nasa. Masemna, a Jumana, Dr. Bawumia, Yeno, Aoma, Quambia, offended the address no what you say. If you be as I say about Dr. Bawumia man and number no only my search there and I say Monty Asinti I'm going to say my name. I mean, the Yamiana said, some question for no Mugo Brusho, Mosey from saying, now a woman who said, young man and a number, a boy if you me, now young man no car quite any man tamu any dinny, your name address, your name, that's what you post office box, and I don't know. But now, you're not Vice President Tibia, while Bob Modern Ma, Fibia one address. Car can be our dinner. But be or do number see organ and maybe I want dinner identified. Not Ghana for what is I say, we are say, and I said, most of my grand to send this if we are to bring in Cofano. Now, Burgess, or more Motia Bruchil Crucassium. On what is a sign of winning a cost organ and on what is a identification, yeah, my street names, yeah, my house numbers. Now, so they can see development that echoes to Ghana, but Yanko Kura Segreme house, and I say Yanko Kura Ebrox. And no woman a yard be a yard, papa. And no woman and a chess a buying be year to Yanko see offended day, Kwame Nkrumah Circle interchange for 280 million, and no woman that says a buying no a year to but so be back no yen to yet. To ya Ghana mind obeying and identity as a country. Every young Ghana mind no nipa dudu a ye wom nipa ye wom ye suba ye ni ye sika semu ye hiya semu a japadi a ye wo musi no enye possible enye adepa but wo nipa kro na so hiya kwampa sa kwampa no enko first can free he na de aba be sa kwampa na Sani panos hamabra. Na uni msama hama nini nkuro fuwa na se fuwa ofene den. Rodents no man ya koye agreement omundi ya japadi nini na chabro funo. Anamuni msama hama na nete temahabo na koma France nino. Aye neudo niyama aba ube turu kwa diya upe na mojo. Usi ya mkofa sani pasa amina manmeti na kunyaso. Abena umay abayimbi aba odin tutu ya brofunu ye biya ne usi abruchi ye ofeno. Oye bi umaimu. I didn't tell Ghana for sometimes we try to be greedy like that just because you are more $1,000, you are more $2,000, $20,000, you are too bottom, you know. Say this and say that and say that. Ghana for, I think said, bread do say, I was saying, yeah, if you munko ye chikakana, yeah, I want you to know, but Biane ye ye seek a sem said a city. Ya hoto na woman said a city. Security, our man said a city. Young for way in a come home. Now you know what is going on in Ghana today. But Ghana, dear, Aqua said, dear Nanoso, they did through their team, or be or castle team, and Ghana 14 as them. Okasana wano ewo forma until because you see when you there. And can you sapa there? Can wonder how come say can this for crowd to nyanya ahmodeni and as audacity to come on platforms to talk because give to me the evidence and the fact or that the word or money must support because na mo Ghana kwa say partisan citizens. And some tribal big got to be no man or mono the unions in the dino is if the Dicayano will say yes. We are there in this city. A ban upon Kubuko Taru with Kuro 60 diamond. You'll still be in this city. This is because the Jama politics in a reality. Near Mijaham, because it's a China political party in Bagana, not or yet near my son Bosnian MPP. I will be the first person to support that political party because Ghana is and everywhere. Now say you free in Kosovo, Ghana, my must say, now you go for Kosovo, forget about it. because nyama na ekoso Ghana no eye indices actually say we are going forward. We are going for the better of Ghana. Ghana man, no kai say NDC for the Ghana man so and fear adurun so. Obi mra no meka nkyere me ante titiro bi NDC for adurun so be di Ghana man so no mutumi ye ma Ghana. Somebody should come and tell me. At the titiro bi ade ba akopa bi say Lawrence here ya na ye fantastic. Electricity or electricity mkoba bi bebre. And a decentralized of administration or to check Ghana or even district. No Buama, Ghana, the development, easy and rapid because district here to me and Yamana for my neighbors. Apart from that, dear Bay, now this for Yamagana, Titluma, and I'm so my mouth for Tim when this and this. And you tribal bigot, any political bigocy, and I some people on Mugusu ADMDCH. Because NDC for us at now that we are talking, their mentality cannot be compared with the Dr. Bawumia and the Danity. Dr. Bawumia Kasana MPP shake, NDC shaky. Dr. Bawumia Betramba be Kasa 1 hour, NDC for Kasa 1 month just to defend themselves. But still, Amoya and Tasu. The neighborhood of Kosovo Ghana. They don't be national. So they are interested in say kind of man no that they will come and tell you nasty issues. Sagremen, second interchange. They were doing what you can be. Terminal 3, NASA. But banking sector net essay atitia pra na udrum ko yiska kuram free bank no. And then they can afford guy. Electricity na ho aye den Ghana bebrebe a wo company kura no huntumi ko bi na panya adwuma Ghana fo enso ho nkai kayi fo na the tax ato omo so Catlas ohiani na okoye afu na kokoto mama ni hihia na ya no oba nyumre kura fi kura the wife kura na kura ntumi mo so ma no the same person no John Mahama the tax to Catlas so sekan condom ye bi to so yet the 17.5% to all bank transactions. So, Emma man for G2. Now, Ghana for why say we free at the end time. Now, day, and feel me actually at a movie free. And I'm a chassis here. Now, more candy, I'm okay. And I'm more support to a man for that. One jama man for the same di muti. And I'm said, but we can omun to me go through Hontino, omun how brat Quanya Befaso Magana Maya Shrine Dachi. That is so. They don't know. And they can believe it because when you say yeah possible, because a party of impossibility, because of their incompetency, because of their lack of knowledge about governance and about development. Motiwa motium ena bawumia ntro no no. Mumra bonti na mumfa alternative solution bi na ye hwese e fact. So you don't have nothing, you don't know what to say, but you don't want to shut up. Mumba bonti na be kan kwaze, mo be kan dia mo pe. Mumay nyina enko me de mo ko radio. Kumasi to Accra road a akuma manfo kuma manfo. Ye nyina yenko he video be ye buy a start to anko no so.
Yeah, who said that before hey. One. Yo, a higher. Sa kwan we ya who said that before hey. Hey, old road now if you want say Accra. Also, yes, I say we dual carriage free president before Bresso. Sir, dual carriage now buy okay. Nkoko de no amoye kobo the bypass nkoko bypass na ye free pro no betu pro na chimo. Sa bre no amu na ban yes nko ye dual carriage. When we get the under horse for a very long time and now we are machine so adwuma. yɛtena yɛ bi atoma pa kosi bɛɛkyɛ bi nkwantia hɔ eti sɛ kɛ kuma na ba kesika ayɛ ameki sure sɛ yɛayɛ a yɛbi ato nkɔfɔ fa so traffic relief road deɛ ɔkɔ ha ɛkɔ onhyia kaa deɛ ɔba ha nso ba onhyia kaa which is a very very good project yɛgye di sɛ sɛnka nneɛma wɔ bebree wɔ hɔ a ɛkɛbɛtumi ate nkwanhyia so ɛsiane sɛ polisi kwan yɛ mu nhyia mu nkwanhyia esi wɔ Ghana ha no dodoɔ naa yɛ kaa ɛbɔ nhyia ho anaasɛ kaa sa ɛhyia wei a yɛhu ne sei no sɛ nketewa na bebree wɔ Ghana ha ɛkɛbɛte nkwanhyia so ɛbɛbɔ nnipa nkwa ne adwamadeɛ sɛ bi yɛ ndwira busuafoɔ basa eti ɛbɔ aban aba so wei nyinaa yɛ aban bosi a wɔgye wei nyinaa yɛ taxes a yɛgye firi Ghanafoɔ hɔ ɛna etumi de yɛ saa nneɛma wei eti ɛbɔ aban aba so yɛbɔ Ghanafoɔ aba so ɛyɛ Ghanafoɔ ɛmɔdenbɔ Ghanafoɔ support Ghanafoɔ anamontuo ɛna ama saa nneɛma wei nyinaa etumi kɔm ɛbi yɛ Ghana nyinaa fa so a wonim how long ada hɔ ana aban yɛtumi ayɛ wei aka ho well, we had the kind of investment that part there. We want to say yes, machines before adwuma as at now. So what we are saying is that we want to encourage the people of Ghana to continue supporting the government because I know said and buy and at that home fear buru the own year and go beyond yet. But Namia domain no about me away. Let's say a quite be brave or Ghana ha. Yanamia video see I did to them. Musika have quite so being taxes and the Posiano and God is going to be free in there. So these are things we have to explain to the people of Ghana. Now you enter them. So they are Ghana for people who say, any taxes in our origin, taxes in our origin, and the Posiana origin. Yeah, the Yamagana. Sabaya said, well, we are and it's to watch another support to our buying. I'm going to tell you, and one. Yo, a higher. Sa kwan we ya who said that if I old road now if you must say a quack. Also, I say or you dual carriage free president before Bresso. Sa dual carriage now by chance okay. Nkoko de no awo ye kobɔ the bypass nkoko bypass na ye free grow no betu grow na ti no sa bra no amu na ban ye se nko ye no dual carriage when we are that be under hosa for a very long time and now we are machines so adwuma yetuna ya bia tuma kwa kosi beche bi nkwantia ho eti se ke tuma na ba kesika aya make sure say aya ya bia nkɔfɔ fa so traffic relief road deɛ ɔkɔ ha ɛkɔ onhyia kaa deɛ ɔba ha nso ba onhyia kaa which is a very very good project yɛgye di sɛ sɛnka nneɛma wɔ bebree wɔ hɔ a ɛkɛbɛtumi ate nkwanhyia so ɛsiane sɛ polisi kwan yɛ mu nhyia mu nkwanhyia esi wɔ Ghana ha no dodoɔ naa yɛ kaa ɛbɔ nhyia ho anaasɛ kaa sa ɛhyia wei a yɛhu ne sei no sɛ nketewa na bebree wɔ Ghana ha ɛkɛbɛte nkwanhyia so ɛbɛbɔ nnipa nkwa ne adwamadeɛ sɛ bi yɛ ndwira busuafoɔ basa eti ɛbɔ aban aba so wei nyinaa yɛ aban bosi a wɔgye wei nyinaa yɛ taxes a yɛgye firi Ghanafoɔ hɔ ɛna etumi de yɛ saa nneɛma wei eti ɛbɔ aban aba so yɛbɔ Ghanafoɔ aba so ɛyɛ Ghanafoɔ ɛmɔdenbɔ Ghanafoɔ support Ghanafoɔ anamontuo ɛna ama saa nneɛma wei nyinaa etumi kɔm ɛbi yɛ Ghana nyinaa fa so a wonim how long ada hɔ ana aban yɛtumi ayɛ wei aka ho. Well, we had the kind of investment that part there. We want to say yes, machines before adwuma as at now. So what we are saying is that we want to encourage the people of Ghana to continue supporting the government because I know said and you buy and can way at that home fear buru the own year and go beyond it. But Namia domain no about me away let's say I quite be brave or Ghana ha. You know me, I video see I did to them. Musika have quite so being taxes and the Posiano and God is going to be free in there. So these are things we have to explain to the people of Ghana. Now you interest them. So they be a Ghana for people who say, "I am any taxes in our origin, taxes in our origin, and the Posiana origin. Yeah, the Yamagana. So I buy a said, well, ɛne saa atuhu akyɛ no de asɔpɔto aban ama no atina yɛ saa nneɛma wei ama ɛna Ghana fa na ne hyɛ yi
Ɛtiri Ghanafoɔ wɛde mo akasa pɔni yɛ Ghana Kumasi to Accra road na akum yɛ nananom yɛ papanom yɛ soanom yɛ manom yɛ wɔfa asɛm no finally ɛna yɛ akyerɛ no apa bɛyɛ double college dual college apa bɛyɛ dual college te sɛ accident bebrebe na ɛkɔ so wɔ Ghana man no finally it is going to have an end. I mean, we can't in terms of accident bebrebe na nesi no ɛso bɛte because ɛyɛ dual college deɛ ana ɛna kyerɛ sɛ automatically no accident no ɛnyɛ dodoɔ te sɛ deɛ na ɛte saa no wei nyinaa sika na amanfoɔ bobɔdere ne bia na ɔmo de yɛ no they are using the same amount of money amanfoɔ si akufo da sika MPP for sika be this is part of the work ɔmo de sika na yɛ no ɛnso ani ɛnyɛ fɛ ɛfɛ nti adanti a ɛni kwan sɛ yɛbɛ support obi a sɛ de mimi kan ɛnyɛ green book na ɔde bɛkyerɛ yɛn but the reality of the fact deɛ ɛkɔ so ankasa na ɛba bɛkyerɛ yɛn na mo me ya just say we prefer obi a ɔno no ba book no ne ba bɛkyerɛ sɛ wɔyɛ wei abrɔbɛ kɔ na yɛ no kɔ Ghana for time aso sɛ yɛbɛhyɛ aseɛ na yɛbɛyɛ self-informed yɛbɛtumi atoto yɛankasa yɛbɛdwendwene yɛbɛyɛ nhwehwɛmu yɛhu deɛ ɛyɛ ne deɛ ɛnyɛ yɛhu deɛ ɛyɛ nɔkorɛ ne deɛ ɛyɛ ntorɔ sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ bɛma yɛ akwanya na yɛtumi anya nkana sɛ yɛtumi ama decision a ɛbɛyɛ bɛta ama yɛ man no Kumasi to Accra road na meyi kyerɛ no ayɛ dual college ɛnyɛ completed baabi ayɛ dual college they are still working on it ope wei na ope de ade but ɛnam sɛ NDC foɔ ɔmo wɔ limited brain behind their ideology mpo no ɛnam so sɛ nti no hwɛ brand nkasa wɔ video no ɔse kofoɔ de kan yɛyɛ but wɔnwie no ofiri aban so na NDC foɔ bɛn no hwɛ mfeɛ dodo a NDC foɔ bɛdi aban so but they left everything rotten ɔmo gya kaa kwan no ho kaa kwan yɛ aban bi abɔ ɛka wɔ ho a ɛwɔ sɛ nkɔmmu nkɔmplete na nka ɔman ne nkɔ n'anim no ɔmo gya ne ho koraa to ɔmo adwene ɛma kaa kwan na da hɔ a n'ano yɛ a his excellence na dɔda nkɔ akufo ado ɛne ne bawumia ɛna ɛsɛ ɔmo ɛde ntotoyɛ toto kwan mu a kaa kwan na asan ne afa aba bɛyɛ fɛ asan ba bɛyɛ krabɛ wompa banwe na ɔsɛ wopɛ deɛ ɔno no ba asɛgena me na ɔmakɔ akɔsie Ibrock ɔsɛ wobɛsi 30 wobɛwie na wasi 4 na ɛho nkae ho sika wadi ne nyinaa na wadi ho sika nyinaa wosi saa nnipa no ɛna wɔhwehwɛ mɛsi NDC foɔ yɛ broke-headed especially the leaders of NDC they are broke-headed sɛ nka nyɛ saa nka nsɛm bi no wɔ hɔ a ɔmo ntumi nkama no yɛyie mepɛ sɛ yɛnsan nkɔ na nkɔtie deɛ nti a mekɛ sɛ the mentality of the NDC no ɛho ntumi mfolo nneɛma a bawumia ɛne aba ho pɛ sɛ ɔmo nyɛ bere a bawumia ɛdi ka kɔkaa sɛ they wanted to do the national identification card momentie Sam George ampina wan de boxer no momentie asɛm a ɔka na monte mase de nti ameka sɛ the bald head of the NDC does not understand Bawumia plans and his ideologies. The president couldn't go tia Sam George in a parliament to catch the Ghana for. Because Sam George and then you crop for new one or one to me and now who said they put to me into TB register, yeah, identify all leaders of Ghana. Sorry, all Ghanaians. Internal Bawumia and the finance minister who can't ask them no war. A honor to them, no, nay, I did I just said a real for a real, your cruise will get here be. Among Kwan, the which means I did say because to them, no Ghana, and yet possible. William couldn't go to Yasama, Sam George Ghana Parliament. Now, what is called NDC as a political party, and they are more, amanyoko nanim.
Because as we speak, right, Honorable Speaker, you are the number 3 man, gentleman of this country. When the president travels and the vice president travels, you are in charge of this country. Right, Honorable Speaker, I put it on record that even you as our number 3 man does not have the Ghana card. So we cannot even tell who else has the card. Apart from the president who was given a card on the 15th of September this year, the vice president, who has been the poster boy and the chief protagonist of the national identification scheme, has no card. The minister for communication and her 2 deputies who are in this chamber do not have a card. So, Mr. Speaker, who has a Ghana card? Right, Honorable Speaker? Even the minister for finance himself has no card. Right, Honorable Speaker? But you see, before. Right, Honorable Speaker. Before the budget was read. Where's your card? Before the budget was read, the president told us that he was so excited about what the Minister for Finance was going to be putting before us because.
Honorable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I don't intend. Mr. Speaker, just to inform the House that His Excellency the Vice President has a card.
If you and a bit my possible said Dr. Bob, maybe to a Ghana card. She did that this for a year. She said, how can we Ghanaians prefer such an how I don't know how to classify the leaders of the NDC. Kwampenso and Yabefaswa Yebetumi Amani Pabrum say I think common identification card the Korobunjini say possible. So my between identification card. You better than many people say about the and I can say, young man, no, ever couldn't. How can we mistakenly choose such people? Just a common card, national identification card, and this if for any of them cruise in Jin to say a bit my possible Sagana for but many ID card. It is Sikana or Modema Parliament or Mujama. Dr. bawumia so mo fan ko san to them no e yen ko kodi said omoye omode da bia. How can it be possible say a country like Ghana, the first country in Africa to have its independence, that's why this cruise we yachi. How can we cannot accept such people to lead us because they are not capable of leading. Omoni nyansani ni ndene and they lead their man for. We know to me leaders, they can only be ruler. These people are only what they call, they can only be rulers, but not leaders. Because obeying to me medi or my so abra when him say ID card the Quran possible say the vice president of the country can have it, and they were there talking about this. Na ye jai home or might to say Ghana. Sister Joyce Michiao, Sarah Yabo also Michiao, Jonas Manfu also Michiao, Sabato, me more than Christmas here. Send them on me, I want to say. Tiam Pantia was a Ghana for Yen to me, young mind fair face say. And for many Pabinuma, Sebio, I drink a friend and drink pie the book my own need. How can we allow these people to lead us? Nipa we omuni nyansan bi eninim bi etitro bia so omuni bebu oman na ye jo mo afa ye man Ye jo mo kan de omo pe. Ere chire ye Kenyans asem ye analysis e de name chira manfo still. Oh Carmen, però per favore, ne vabbè. Ye jaya homa cruise way. Kan de omo pe, ye de omo pe. Ye Kenyans asem ye kan asem eto aso ye ma adwen nim de kwa nipa be fa so ama o ma na kọ na nim na ye nye sa nipa we crook of bunch of crooks we akoromfo we na omo be jina ka say that dey na kọ because omo no adwen no it doesn't tell them say Ghana for ebetumi anya national ID card. Saba me da send wo WhatsApp why me dey can send wo WhatsApp. Madam Francisca also ye chiao. Na ye German nipa we no be di e be so mo be di Ghana man so abro mo jintum say Ghana national ID card o mo jintum say bit my possible. E ya so we was born po mo mentie ye nkoso mentie.
So Mr. Speaker, I want to Mr. Speaker, I want to put on record. Mr. Speaker, I want to put on record that His Excellency, the Vice President bawumia, has a national ID card. He has it. I have seen it. He has shown it to all of us, and he has it. For the avoidance of any doubt, and because this is a house of records, I want to reiterate the fact that the number 2 gentleman and number 3 gentleman of this country do not have Ghana cards. Yes. And the Minister for Communication has accepted this.
Ghana for you, the arrogance. Akwa we di jina ho eka se nye possible se Ghana for betumi nye Ghana card. Na nipa we edi nipa be se opepe for ani so okoshe mra ama se nipa na di so. We say sign na Ghana be ye. Which is a kwamben so na Ghana betumi akọ nanim se wo se nipa binum se na omo ayo mo so mo na omo ye leaders wo ye man no mu a. Man ne be ye na akọ nanim. Na ye wo nipa omo tie producer omo atena producer ache. Anka ye say maybe they could be mama for omo nya experience wo wiase man fufuro bi so a nko betumi aboa yen ama oman no ntotoye na akoyie na yehu de ye ene de ye no omo no mo ada omo ho nipa bone magana ma because ya mo ska akrante no de omo pe ana se de emfa nkoso mra Ghana ene omo ka. How can this happen? Well, Ghana no two baby or seeing in no. You be jay nine so. Na ya boa na man no afan ntuma pafira. Na se person man no fan ntuma pafira. I was say you near nipa or modern koso ba o man. Kufo ba obeye bi ehu yi. Akufo ado bere so ye hu de wa ye. Mun kan de mahama ne atames ne Rollins be ma Ghana. Nothing. This is akasa and throw. And in sema any esoro any asie and then this for eka. Because more about say yenka nema pa de omo aye ene de amamfo aya omo nya bi nka. Nti omo kasa omo nka nema pa ho asem. MP want to meet Parliament because it's possible say Ghanaians will have something called national ID card. Now we accept such people, such person to continue deceiving say onu mbombo betu magana maya ye.
I don't see why we should be struggling and be haggling over this. The member on his feet says, he makes a categorical statement that as I speak to you now, apart from the president, the poster boy, the vice president, doesn't have a card. The speaker, now the chief whip gets up, is alluding to a matter, an event, according to him about 3 weeks ago. The speaker, what informs him that between the 3 weeks ago that he's talking about and yesterday, the card could not be given.
Now, wow, I dream a friend, I dream then this is for team and this is for pain for especially. Obi Ababe catch or 3 weeks ago said, Oba be card, but only be one home. Now, when I'm a dream, I won't person be dream a actually impossibility. Woman did you are dreaming after 3 weeks still are not. We are convinced to say Nipan and the card. How can we allow such incompetent mentality? Limited mentality, limited thinking wise. Nipa biti says I nipa way. So may but jam Russia for I can say and so on Ghana Parliament or no shame brama yin so. Ya better than yamra papa because no crot he don't know his left and right. Ghana politics na ayefo and on be Ghana politics and ayefo and when you be yes sir he can never and ever be a politician. And until what that kind of lower limited way of thinking. Really how NDC is able to, how they are able to capture people in some band or catch up. And into we can see no contribution, no job. Because apart from say and I say no, there is no ideology behind the NDC and not to you to be the same. And concerned citizen be Atimenya agreed so with this such a political party. Political party or bar about more OCC hospitals, and a major policy or the other. Political party will see one interchange, only one interchange, and it's the biggest achievement ever that kind of political party has ever achieved. You must say it's Kaswaka. Omukosi si dan no bu wura musagrama no omu wie sika ni nyina di wie no eno ye the biggest achievement but na Ghana police for na car one district one ambulance na ebi ni ho health insurance na nya adwuma ofade dan chok kura na twere school kura na ebi ni ho school feeding program na ye basa free SHS na ebi ni ho. But na Nippon not to make a 2 billion spend for education. How can you as a youth, as a Ghanaian, think that person can be somebody good for your country? Also now problem can see pa. Obi ono to me ebi na no question so 2 billion for any investment in education, but he's rather going to use that money for another purposes to construct. To do infrastructure. That's it. Opposite Ghana for should always remain unconscious, illiterate. I was saying Ghana for we don't know her about. I was saying Ghana for ya the basic yankopone yankwa. That is how this guy wants Ghanaians to remain. And yes, Anka, Obi Wedigana, my son to me, one cassette. Who was scout for scanning investment in education? Who also Mahama, and so you get benefit from free SHF from the northern side. Unimuntaka, Haruna Nunina. you get the possibility to study because of free SHS. Kwame Nkrumah dema mo northern part. Now to be one assembly so be a woman now what take one advantage or say you were supposed to advocate the quality or can I say the benefit of free SHS. So you are the rather opposing the policy of free SHS. And people believe, say, Mahama is the right person to come and lead Ghana from where we are now. Ghana, for Munim say, MPP now expanded the Ghana economy within 5 years, about 30%. Oh, wow, damn. The Ghanaian economy in 6 years, it has expanded additional 30%. The Ghana economy is growing. The Ghana economy is growing. And due to that, the risk of the Ghana economy is huge. So any small thing can let you find yourself somewhere. Now you're with this little economy and now so manage the command IMF. Now and no audacity to come out to talk, say or no a right person to come and lead the country. I brought no buy within first year not to call IMF.
This is ridiculous. This indeed is ridiculous. The member on his
12:22 says, "The Lord detests lying lips, but He delights in people who are untrustworthy." What I have said is the truth, and I stand by it.
Order. You will withdraw and conclude according to the rest of the time left.
Sawa?
Mr. Marvel. Also, say sound will be pray or charity. Ama
numbi na menka sa mishira de ka ho be say no yiye na kwa bibia ho nti am say we must to keep it next time now.
Next time yeah can collection because ama program no sound boom.
Okay. Well, I come
me also me teacher na me tell you cause na unuanam some your life kama pon aja e go pe bibia diana me wo say nsem na cause na say be kasa.
All right. Oh, and we go akwenye na charge agum. Your best another 15 minutes to bed. Yes.
Yeah, with you, me chawati for you na em say nsem na na kana ya nem say ye nuanom anase Ghana for no bi. Em say John Dramani Muhammad Kaka say omo wo yade mo refie short memory. Eti ano so me ya jedi because wa utie video ya ugbo ya NDC for Ghana National ID card enwo parliament tio omo kon ID card mu or parliament all because say omunyi ni say ID card betima yeyi anase Ghana for betimi abokaye ID card ama Ghana ni bia.
Yes.
Ewo abra me nyu tum say ene sa ID card no ye adwuma a Ghana ni ono na no okontokwa no ewo parliament ni kutabi. The Bamchomu said video no na same way enko in this for. Ono no okontokwa na nei wo kutabi tio. Ono na criticize na kutabi. Enei wanfa obuo any respect ama political party na otimi adwene eye saade ne ma Ghana. Wanfa obuo ama apan no anase vice president na otimi dadwene ebeye saade ne ma Ghana. Enne Ghana yebeto aba Ghana ni timi kuta ID card chese woni ne Ghana ni obi onya Ghana ni be frema ebehu what you say.
Yes.
Enti we tell say NDC for Ghana no sesanya no omu ni ho tam say omu koda adwene Ghana sesanya ho anase Ghana omu tidi se bibi betimi aba ma Ghana no koye say ebi aman foforo a ekomanimi indi se obeje dia free education Quran the same thing happen.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes. Of course. Advert hold on.
free education. Free education, the same thing happened. I NDC for. And I know so much sorry tia. I may no so I hear Juma. And also say here Juma. And no mammy, no my boss. Free education. Ghana national ID card.
Almost supporters also they use free education. Oh,
na sound him say. Na sound him say, baby a Ghana and watch the war and omoto Obama NDC.
Yeah. Yes, it's a
So
fact. Yes, of course.
Baby a watch the war and answer. Yeah, mami muni bilo. Yani ya to aba ema NDC. Na NDC so ba onsa nwene na nwoma ba bi na ono dwene ho yesa bebo ano ono no criticize ejina mu se koto abati ano na peto aba mo no wotie wo bu bibia papa bi atantan ma na wo wagina di na wo hweso koto aba ma no na wo hweso koto aba ma no ba onsa mfa enu ti na magana nko na nimda o my Ghana nko na nimda Ghana nko na nimda ase kire na meka kire no enti saa no ma we nyina ye gitum se ebo Ghana no anasa ma Ghana adu ba bi a eche se Ghana ko na nim no NDC fo ebotu gui NDC fo anya dum hwe de tosu biem 11 the same thing no say ye 11 aya de bi a eye tax a banche edi ekroye na me pa chaw ene na Ghana be gi tax ti Ghana ni ka chaw say ya gi tax ajajaje man fa anya hwea eno chaw say NDC agi tax ajajaje ya fa di papa bi anto so eno ase agi tax no hand to hand mind to mind ena o ma wiye sika no eno ti ababi na wotwe Ghana ho ne ba na oba change no ye no digital transaction no and efa digitalization no as can ababa hunu no
ekwa ban bottom direct enko NDC ni food soldiers bi bottom enko esiedu katia enko bottom enko dwamama bottom ama oni na busia yeye but ekwa abamu ama all parliamentarians who say sika we na o man nya ye de kwadwini Ghana ho ye nkwaje bosia also mo condemn. Yeah, of course. Because say I got to say to boot na no mo pack o mo nkrofo agu ho na mo di schedule. Say ade na aban na din to ti opa ba ele ma aban na nye sika no ye o mo ya because mo nye sika ni. Be ba chaw. Wonim say MPP o dwe Ghana. Also ba na o twa target no. Because target no NDC for do mo nko fa sha no. Enti MPP enwu se ono so ko change edin nko fa koto anu a de ekoso na ne bekoso enti sa target na ya gi sika free Ghana for na ma ban ho no ene ye fa nche Ghana for na ya ni 11 digital transaction na no mra ban ho onso mo nti ase Ghana ni so nti ase mi a me nko school no eche meti ase ba Ghana ni no nti ase enam se MPP for enim se NDC for wia Ghana for check eno ma bi a mo pato do wia Ghana for no MPP for atwam ene ade abrochire dia ebo a oman no ba ozo mo nti ase eno na eku omo no because there say one say a cash electronic ni ya de bi obetimi ahwe ma hu ba bi e ko e ba bi free buy but oban e twa receipt ma wa receipt ye to di e tare to no free ho a actually kwa yasa. You understand?
Now receipt no. Where awa anu no munya Ghana for sika edi yo maja pade ria o man Ghana no enu nti enhyehyeye bawumia ye no aba afati NDC political party because when they come to power and bawumia become president here they will not get chances to do those things they was benefit from enu nti o mo problem na say si e cha bawumia mane bedi Ghana so a obetisi ya kwan NDC yentimi nya ye ho biem yentimi nya sika emfri Ghana mu enu tiro mani abiro ena asofofo ya e support NDC ke video ya wiye Ghana ni ba no so kan wasa
da bi wa na be kan wasa no kan wasa ma ye
free education ya mo si ntimi nyi ye ye wi anya na mo sha ka se o mo sa ka che Ghana for ese free education no na kwani school dan kwani ba bi tena me ba jo nyo mo so na ka so o mo school dan
me the question that be mbisa no say mfere no betra Ghana man so school dan say na mo si ye na e wo hefa tsunami esi wo Ghana na
sa ko fo ya ka che Ghana for say school dan and obi so be school free a was at school dan wo and the bia no mo use psychological to Ghana for adwum na Ghana ni na wan ko school no akire do ko school no so a okuta certificate so na adwum ha no na wodi wo machi.
Yes brother some do be na me wo me de be me dwuru ho amentiasio say you to crowd mo Ghana bi so akọ school abotai na so support NDC me bisa ko na ade omomo oku sika titro bi ne bo botom ana se
bra youth no problem but na men ko men person ko bebre ase your topic economy ya to form youth problem say wonim say aban bi ba e na obenya sika obeyi ejo wo ba wonye yi ba me tie sa atwene ni bitrim say me amabra ba me boni yi e na ba mama yi enya aban.
Yes.
The youth know what's our problem no. And we have sickness mentality. Sickness sickness. And a youth to do now.
Okay.
Oh, and unti ama end this for a video ya boy. Ghana journalists and confirm more and tag end this for. And end this for who said. South for so young we are no so much. Ya two video natural. And now I go find me come who you. Who we are sending man me family July.
Sabade message jamo why not
we are from the mama na me fa ko so jamu wo so na me mo ntia se enya nkola Ghana me enya nkola ya mo firi atwene nyere eni akro ana Ghana ni no ono no ote parliament wona wo yesade no wo Ghana ni miso ye Ghana ni ye nyina no Ghana ni ba na wo ye eti wo mo ntene ye eti bra ma me fa nsi wa ha na unua ya funu mo ya ndi America takorama ya video be 2 hours
ye izo ko trabitum
edi me chawa chefo ina me jamase se mama makonya na matre magire mo share video no maye na mo support ye MPP for mo be page so a mo share na mo like page no mo share page we am wo so yi na mo share ma that platform mo follow na the NDC for ni social media ye di agora Ghana be hwase yes ramo na mo share mo na mo follow Sabato TV YouTube Sabato 1 TV YouTube Madaroma mo share video tada mase
me da so asesama me da se bebre bro any contribution or the buy Sabato 19 in Canada as bebre ni good and great company so submission or the buy so anipa tell me anasa emi Sabato kan mo share page no mo follow yen me page we the sansu YouTube Ras Media GH also link na video no so you go to no papa and follow me or subscribe to my channel the videos about what we go the sansu live videos so about and say follow me now subscribe on YouTube but be about Bible and be also go to me anya some pa me na no be at here Uma ya to a business so for another 3-4 minutes na ya fa agodi no ma dey ensi na we wow I'm people to go to the parliament it didn't throw away low because the mentality is very low. He cannot think far. On to me go far. I didn't to me and think Conani. Domunian jungle life can afford Yantin can afford Yenya what to say the yet now I'm taking advantage of us. Now I'm found kura or more bushia, I'm found kura buffie, I'm found koto a japadia in Siamanone. Because Ghana knew ultimate think question and or not any penny and this for town for. Because you expose their lies and their incompetence. Any Ghanaian who is conscious enough to expose this bunch of crooks, this bunch of what they call corrupt mentality bombard people were no say who a little bit enlightened, you are enemy to them because omo pay omo for mo enlightened. Omo pa man for omo no kwe no mo timi and enslave them on their own land. I can never be a slave on my own land. It's kind of for money no more be. And this, among the as a political party, they are not up to the level of MPP. Nana Adodanko Akufo-Addo, any bawumia, any group, person of Fagan and Koro, and in Tia, you can say national ID card, able to me, a document of identity in international airports, say person Samara Ghana, and this is for the car saying, Papa, free SHS, and this is for saying, anything possible. E-levy, almost anything possible. National identification card, almost any possible. 1D, 1F, almost any possible. And so now, no can say these things are going on. One ambulance, one constituency, and this is for saying possible. At the end, because the NDC mentality, the leadership of the NDC and their mentality is lower to the level, say they cannot compete themselves. I'm not even for to talk bawumia. No, I'm to the level of bawumia and any team. And then some person on Fagan and my good. And convenience are buying beer banana, buying assembly, they yet everything digitized. When low shallow minded for being a common social media, so what you are not calculating system. One buying no media could never send or yeah, bang we buy our sale. One buying media could never buy no yeah, man, Ghana, you just came in to steal. Nanko or my friend is saying, it for say, gracia. Last thanks, because the Ghana batch of the bauxite or the Kwakoma Union, and yet dynasty family, El Ghana, Mahama family, forever and ever, the only rich people in Ghana. Ghanaians, what my the NTA wants to say, the NPP mentality or the ideology of such political party is the only ideology able to Ghana Apojan and Tumapa Africa. A year comparison between these two parties, the NPP is the only party which, basing on the performance or basing on the analysis now, Nipa Atlasia, basing on indices on the international market, which was a Ghana air cost. No, my will be in fact any kind of propaganda, deceive communication. Be a man, and say, Yagin. Yema in Yagin because to say, the same now, my name can so person, and I say, oh, you know, 1D1 free SHS, national identification card, address for every house, street for every street name for every street. And it's an market and get me and to ya, me and I can't go my mind by your mind. A brooch took room crowd, took room. You see, the satellite address system of Ghana, and this is for so good to me, and so now it's working. The Biamaka, Mr. Ghana for a lucky. Said time I know be or say or the woman technology tomorrow. That technology is already advanced. We are taking the advanced technology. It can be so bedi amount for money because our system somebody so it takes a lot of time. By any system, we can just grab the ultimate technology. It is a case of the Zep line, be distributing Ama hospital. So because a technology abaso mono. But say we find ourselves at a comfortable time. That's where we got it. But from when I saw the cars and I did the local hospitals, but then we came at a time not this thing was new. Instead of you to invest in an old system, you invest in a new system. Into the kind of way, more my argument to send this for the bawumia council to Waduna or Munjin Tumuno. And more think behind the Yahoo, I believe in the MPP, so good to me, Aboyang, Amomano, Aquananim. mepɛ sɛ mede bɛsi hanom meda sister Betty Biden meda wase bebree Francisca nso meda ase Sabato meda ase bebree ɛne wo contribution a wɔde baeɛ Jonas mekyia wo ɛne mo a motum bɛhwɛ video no nyinaa mesrɛ wo wɔmada no hyɛ video no comment wɔ aseɛ na mesrɛ wo bibia nso sɛ momɔmɔdana na monkɔ Ras Media GH ɛwɔ YouTube na mo subscribe ɛne yɛ me channel no wɔ hɔ akyɛ Momo amena yentumi activate na yemfa more product and I say more content emraso. As a content that is always about politics. It's always about the better being of Ghana, what they call Ghana in general. Until they say, oh, subscribe on so but they be an life no through to me YouTube and I say Facebook. How can the Japan Junior page? Facebook is YouTube nso yɛ Ras Media GH. Who subscribe wɔ hɔ a play them about life on nso bɔ mu. Ida mu nyina ase ɛde sɛ mu nya akwanya na mu yɛ show. Sister Betty, I always thank you for your support. Thank you very much, and hope that tomorrow we come to MPP ladies. Ida mu nyina ase we Kennedy Ajapon Jr. Ida mu nyina ase. See you next time.